Sister Shotgun is a band that is pretty much new, and therefore I've pretty much just got into them. So, even though they are new and this is actually the first album they have released, they have actually been around for a fair few years, releasing the odd single, the odd EP, until they've actually come out with this actual debut album, Fragments, which we have here today. It hasn't released today, I'm just saying here today, as in I'm reviewing it today. So, Sister Shotgun, we have 11 tracks. It's not an overly long album. Most of the songs are around the 3-minute mark, so you know the simple song structures and layout. You have a female lead singer, and you have actually lead solos. So basically, let's just get into it. I'm just going to run through it. It's going to be one of the more simple album reviews, which a lot of people will be more thankful for because it's going to be shorter. So, I obviously stumbled across a single, and that's how I found the band. And the single was the first track on the album, Sacred Heart. So it's, the opening. It, usually represents the overall album, the overall sound. So, obviously, this must have stuck out to me for it to kind of bring me in and to have this here for you today. So, what stuck out for me? Well, the riffs are actually quite interesting. You have a rhythm guitarist and a lead guitarist. And in a lot of metal bands, especially these days, you have a lot of bands kind of all doing rhythm. So you'll have two guitarists, you'll have a rhythm guitarist and a lead guitarist, and a lot of bands you listen to, you think, why do they have a lead guitarist? There is no leads, no lead solos, and no real leads within the song itself. So what is the point? Are they just doing it because people have a second guitarist and they thought that's the norm? But technically they're actually thick and don't actually know what the point of the lead is. This band seems to understand what a lead is, so seeing that I was talking about riffs, that basically means that the intros, the verses, choruses, not usually, yeah, mostly intro and after the chorus, bit of bridge, solos, verses, you'll have leads instead of just the rhythm. So you'll have the rhythm guitars keeping, the bulky, aggressive kind of sounding rhythm, then you'll have the, nice interlude of leads over the top. So you have two contrasts of guitar tones and, styles. The heavy chord, aggressive style, and then the kind of more melodic interlude technical side of the leads. You have lead solos, so that brought me in because there's actually some really interesting, guitar playing going on, which is what I liked in Sacred Heart. The guitaring was really, fun. It was fun. There was leads throughout, so it's just like, this actually sounds interesting. It's not kind of, dull and boring nothing. I've got a good rhythm. Vocalist herself, she's a female, she sounds alright. She's not one of the best females I've heard, so, Nightwish singer's by far better than Superior. The lead singer from Solaris, she's a lot better, seems well trained. This girl, I would probably say, has a good voice and has been singing for a while, but I would doubt that she's kind of been trained. She doesn't sound like she's really that diverse with, knowing about her voice and how it kind of is controlled and everything. It just seems like it's a good voice that is just being put into the music. So you don't really have a versatile voice, basically. You don't really have, any unique features. You just have this real nice sound of a voice, and that is basically it. So it's alright, but a little kind of bland because there's not a lot of exciting ideas and, things being used as you'll get in, the singers of Nightwish, Solaris, Unleash the Archers, of course. So vocally, perfectly fine, but could be better. Guitars, as I say, verses and everything, all incredibly interesting. The solos, there are solos, but there is a problem with the solos. So the problem with the solos is basically that it seems like they're a young band. They look young, and with a young guy on guitar doing leads, and even in verses and everything, usually there's not a lot of maturity. There's not a lot of, restraint. So by that I basically mean everything seems a little kind of fun, a little too overly showy and dramatic and too forced and everything. Nothing seems to ever really be took in a slow, thoughtful way. Let's just sit back and think about it. Everything seems a little excited, like a kid who's just gone into the studio and he has a guitar and he's well versed in it. He's overly excited. Everything's fun, and then the rhythm's going, and then this nice interlude and everything, and then come into the solo. He's not, the most versatile guitarist. There's way more guitarists that are better than this guy, but he does a reasonable job, and with the job he has, there's no emotion to it. There's no soul. There's no restraint. I'm just hearing something like, I'm not getting emotion out of this. It is just a sound of, fancy little things here and there. But yeah, there's nothing special. There's nothing unique or memorable, because nothing's emotionally connecting with me. Nothing emotionally stands out. And as for technical prowess, well, again, there's nothing too much. There's no, emotion with, good play and, knowing what notes to pick to sound great and to stand out. There's no amazingly skilled shred at all. There's not an abundance of skill, and there's not an abundance of emotion. Therefore, everything's just a little bland. And then we come on to the songs themselves, so the songwriting. And going through the album, you're getting the same thing you usually get, which is a song that has a formula. This is what songs are, let's repeat the formula. So a song needs its intro, here's the intro. The song needs its verse, here's the verse. The song needs its chorus, here's the chorus. The song needs a bridge, here's the bridge, and we're going to put a solo in because we have a soloist. And that is how they approach and go about the making of the songs. Now, following a pattern means that the pattern starts, becoming repetitive, and people catch on to what the pattern is. So nothing becomes unique or, special or, like one of these wow moments, unexpected. It's a formula. And that is how the songwriting kind of goes. It's the typical songwriting you get of many things. The choruses sound like any other band. They're the really big, open, breathy choruses and things that you get in, all these young kid rock metal bands that, do the, kind of all intense, fun-heavy verse with, the kind of cool showing off leads. And then the chorus is always going to be this big and, epic thing. It's just like, yeah, big and epic and then cool verses, but when every band does it, it becomes very uncool and really just boring. So that is basically what happened. I got into Sacred Heart because of, the good sounding leads that kind of go through the songs, and I noticed there's a solo, so I thought if there's a solo, that's really going to open some doors for me and actually give them a good chance if they at least do that. But and also the fact that it's a female. I'm going to sound a little sexist here. It is going to be quite sexist. I'm not intentionally trying to be sexist, it's just the way it is, so I apologise if anyone takes offence to this. But basically, in metal, females are approached differently to metal bands with a male vocalist. And by this I mean bands like Evanescence and Nightwish and Within Temptation, Epica, all bands like that The verses are always approached the same. It's one of these big open voices, really big and powerful, you know, the kind of really operatic style thing. And then the band completely cut out, and all you're usually left with is drums and bass, because the voice is not aggressive enough to, you know, work with heavy guitars. So usually the bands completely strip out until it's bare bone, making musically the album is very boring. If you take the vocals out and just listen to the musical track, you're going to be getting bare bone, nothing for the most part. And then you have the other side of the spectrum with female vocalists, which is they try and go butch and they sound, you know, super masculine and everything. Which, again, I understand if you will take this as sexist, like, no, they're just trying to be strong-sounding women. Well, yeah, they are trying to be strong-sounding women, but it is more of a masculine take. It is just what it's referenced as. So I'm sorry if you take offense to that. I don't mean to offend. I have to explain things, and this is the way I know how to. So, yeah. With females in metal, it's a little complicated, especially for me, because I know these tropes. I know there's the bands where if they sound big and open, the rest of the band usually will completely flatline and die out. And then you're just left with a bare bone verse and then a chorus where they come in, but it's bare bone. And then you've got choruses where they come in, but it's, you know, the big epic thing. And then you've got the butch sounding ones where it seems like they're trying to overcompensate from their femity, that's not a word, from their, you know, female aspects. They're overcompensating, they're trying too hard to basically sound like a man, and I don't like that. And then there's the odd time where you have Unleash the Archers and again Solaris, where females actually work and the band actually know that women can actually perform well with them. Solaris do not cut out on all the epic and high gain stuff and the leads and things, and the voice will work with them because their voices, they know how to use them in the genre, they know how to support each other, and the band knows how to support them without disappearing off the face of the planet. But it's rare, so this band stuck out for me because good leads in verses, and they did solos, and there's a female where she has a good voice. She's not being too, you know, what, or too, yeah, but she sounds like a girl. She's a woman, and she sounds like a woman. She's not trying to be something she's not, or trying to overcompensate on one or the other. And the band is working heavily, so I appreciated it. So I was, you know, a little caught off guard because of these things, but then when I got into it, you know, she's not a versatile singer. She doesn't seem overly trained. She just has a good voice, and that's all there is. The guitar stuff, yeah, there's solos, yeah, he does leads a lot, but it sounds like a really unrestrained, no holding back, no relax, no thinking, no emotion, just let loose kid on the album. So it just sounds young. You can listen to it and you will definitely pick up on and say to yourself, these are kids, these are young adults, basically. They're not people in their 30s, they're not people in their 40s, they're not people in their, you know, late 20s. It's definitely the real early 20s, if not even late teens, because it sounds like it. So, yeah, and then everything is simple and structured. The melodic stuff is like any other band, so you're left with just a decent sounding voice. Lead solos which lack emotion or thought. It's just knowledge just being put on display with no real try behind it. It's just unrestrained. And then, the song writing itself is the basic formula and has been cloned by many who have come before and many who will unfortunately come after. It's not a bad album, as I say. Like, the voice is fine. The guitarist, he does the solos are there to give it a bit more life to it. The rhythm and lead are two separate things. The rhythm does the rhythm, the lead does the lead. The lead is usually always there for the most part, and that gives a lot of life and just more to the music. But the voice not being versatile, the song writing as in, the structure and layout not being overly complex or complicated, just simple and clones of everything else makes it excruciatingly difficult for me and things to get through and, boring. And then the lead guitarist just seems like a kid, which technically he is. I definitely feel like I'm older than he is. He just seems to lack that maturity about him. It's an album that's just simple like any other, and it's fun. It's an album where they've just gone in, just had some fun, probably had a lot to drink, and that was it. Another problem which I actually forgot to mention is at the start, if you remember, you probably won't, but you may do, they did EPs. Now the problem with this is because they've been around for many years awaiting to do the album, and they've released things in the past, they've thrown it in, meaning you've had a few gaps in years. So there's a song done in this year, and then 2-3 years, whatever after, is something else. It means that the songs that have been done in the background, they may have changed members. I don't know if they have, but if they have changed members, that's a whole new personality, new flavour, style being put in. It's, new concepts, new influences for when they write in a different year to the year they wrote the other song. Which means the album, some songs stick out a little. So the bonus track, for one, is a massive stick out. Because it's an old track and it sounds out of place. There's other ones, but I haven't actually listened to this album in a while actually, and I've completely forgot to do it. But yeah, there is others. For the Love of Hate, I think, is one. Silhouettes, I think, is one. And they just sound different to the rest of the album. It just sounds a lot more simple and straightforward. As for, the tracks like Sacred Heart and things, just sounds like there's a little bit more put into it, with the kind of leads and production. Actually, the production is changed. If you get the music videos for, again, I think it's For the Love of Hate, if you get the music video for that, there is a production to that and a solo to that, which are very poor, both of them. And then you get the album For the Love of Hate, where the production is a lot better and a lot more hard-hitting, with a solo that is actually improved. So it basically means, like, yes, it's been improved, yeah, the production's been redone, so they've fixed the problem. It's like, no, because the song writing, the sound of the song is still that old, untrained, still very, very youthful band style put in with a bit more of a, developed band. I still don't think they're developed, they have a long way to go, this band. But, it's them contrasts. Some songs sound more developed than others and a bit more given to them than other songs, and that is because they have old songs thrown in with newly developed ones years later. And they've had, tracks with, I do think, other members, and then you've got new members who are better brought in, redoing old songs. So it's a bit of a mess there, and as I've said, it's a kids band. They sound like kids. The voice isn't that versatile. The guitaring, yeah, there's lead solos, but it just seems like it's not mature enough. There's not a lot of thought to it, there's not a lot of emotion to it. Something deep, meaningful, something that I will remember and emotionally connect with, instead of just something that I don't feel anything for. So the album is basically going to be a 6. It's an above average album, I'm afraid. So yeah, if you're young and you like a, you know, kind of fun, very simplistic album, then I'd recommend it, but if not, then this probably isn't for you. So that's it. Until the next one. Bye.